Like, could you imagine you're just at like a spiritualist sitting and next thing you know, like a fucking tuba hits you in the head? Hi everyone, it's Jimmy the Medium, and I am coming to you today with an extra special episode and this peculiar little object known as the Spirit Cabinet. No, I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about this Spirit Cabinet. If you have ever been on the ride, the Haunted Mansion at Disney, you probably already have some familiarity with it without even knowing. Let's break it down. What was the Spirit Cabinet? So it's really important to know that in the 1840s, you have two movements that are wildly popular. Magic. America could not get enough of magicians. And it's not even like there were only one or two for the time that kind of held down the fort. Oh no, it was like new magicians were popping up every day and the Americans were just like, yes, give us more, give us more. Couple that with the fact that in the 1840s, the Spiritualist movement was born. It was considered to be founded in what was called Hydesville, New York at the time, which is now Newark. So not too far from Buffalo, actually. I would say about an hour and a half max. First off, let's talk about the Fox family. This is like a family that, like, if TLC or Lifetime had been around, like, this family would have fucking been on there. So the Fox sisters were these two little girls that were claiming that their house was inhabited by a tortured soul. So they would say weird things like, how old is my child? And let's say the child was 15. 15 knocks or rappings on the wall would happen. And the people were dumb enough to go, oh my goodness, this is legit. So people started flocking to the home of the Fox family for what was known as sittings. So sittings is where they would have visitors that would come into the house. They would kill all the lights, and then the magic would start. Most of the people that were going thoroughly believed in what we now call mediumship. The Fox family was exploiting this. First thing that you should know, the people that were attending the sittings and paying money to see this, they fully believed in the ability to communicate with the deceased. So these are people nowadays that would come to see me, would come to see a medium. However, what was sad is that the people that were hosting these sittings were incredibly dishonest, and none of them were actually happening. So, flash forward right here in Buffalo in the 1840s, you have the Davenport Brothers. Their father was somebody who fully believed in the foundations and principles of spiritualism. So, the dad goes over to what's now Newark, New York, checks out the Fox house, and he's like, well, you know what? I think we can do this and make some money. I've tried to research this multiple times, and like my mind is still boggled on this. It's like they fully believed in the concept of mediumship, and they also fully believed in exploiting people. Because remember, you've got these two major movements, spiritualism and magic. And as people were seeing, magicians were selling out wherever they went. The Davenport family got the idea to kind of combine two worlds, and they started doing sittings in their home. However, they had this strange contraption called the Spirit Box or the Spirit Cabinet. It was like this weird box that I want to say was about 7 or 8 feet high, not that deep, and it was suspended by just about 2 feet off the ground on sawhorses. And then from there, curtains would close in the front. The Davenport brothers would be bound, put into this little box of sorts. They would close the curtain on the Davenport brothers and then close the curtain in the living room or the parlor, wherever this sitting happened, and then the magic began, or the spirits began to materialize, so to speak. You would have ethereal hands that would pop out of the curtain, and weird noises and rappings and musical instruments would seem to levitate and be thrown at people during the sittings. Like, could you imagine you're just at like a spiritualist sitting and next thing you know, like a fucking tuba hits you in the head? Like, these are real things that would happen, and rather than suing, they're like, oh my gosh, like this is real. So the Davenport brothers became an overnight success. So at 14 and 16, they began touring the country with their magic Spirit Cabinet. What's really interesting to note, though, is that the Davenport brothers did this interesting thing where they never admitted to being phonies. They would never own it. So if people would ask them, hey, are you genuine mediums? Are you able to do this? They would be like, what do you think? What do you think? The fact that they never confirmed it or denied it only helped their image. So, Flash forward, eventually the Davenport brothers are caught, and during one of their sittings, there was a famous magician in the room. And what happened was one of the panels of the actual parlor fell, and it revealed some light, and the magician could quickly see one of the Davenport brothers, who was indeed not bound, moving things on their own. Eventually, the Fox sisters also came out, and they're like, JK, that wasn't really happening, we made that up. I thought this was a really fascinating topic to cover because you have two major roads that are starting to intersect. You have the spiritualism movement, and then you have this road of magic. That's one of the reasons why mediumship is given a hard time, and rightly so. Another really important thing to note, though, is that in today's standard, that is what would be considered physical mediumship, which most spiritualist communities now outlaw. The only mediumship that is allowed now is what is known as mental mediumship, which is what I do, which is what 99% of mediums around the world do. Where we sit, we communicate with spirit just using our mind, and we do not have to throw anything up. We don't have trumpets flying at you, and we don't have disembodied arms coming out of holes in the table. If you enjoyed, please feel free to subscribe or follow me on Instagram and YouTube. See you later.